I'm a bit of a noob at cooking, and I've never braised any sort of meat before, so I've decided to take you along my first attempt. If you're like me and want to take your home cooking to the next level, and in this video you'll find how easy or difficult it is to cook one of the best styles of cooked meat. I'm a very basic home cook, and I'm well and truly in the development stage of improving my knowledge and cooking skills. And if you've been thinking about braising some meats, there's no better way to see how easy or difficult it is besides watching a noob and his first attempt. And the whole of 2024 I've been relentless in improving the foods that I eat, but also the flavour of those healthy foods that I'm now eating, because that's what was missing before, and it's led me towards a considerably healthier diet and lifestyle, to be honest. And I'd say I've been really successful in doing this. And my next step is to learn all the best cooking methods that I could possibly need to make the best tasting food at home. I don't have any food preferences or any allergies. For Christmas, I got this Le Creuset that I'm going to be using to braise, but I'm also going to use this for other things such as baking sourdough. I have a general idea of the steps I need to take to braise some meats, but I wanted to check in with ChatGPT first, make sure I'm not wasting all this money I've just spent. I wanted to do this because I wanted to see what suggested vegetables ChatGPT came up with, but I've just nipped out to my local Asian supermarket as they've got considerably better quality meat on offer than the store-bought meats that you can get at supermarkets here in the UK. So going off of my little knowledge and some direction from ChatGPT, my plan going into this was to base the dish around this incredible beef brisket I had seen in my local Asian supermarket. The only other thing I had in mind were carrots, herbs and some stock. Scrolling down, ChatGPT seems to have categorised everything a braise would need, from vegetables and stock to seasoning. Carrots confirmed though, so I added that to my shopping list. Onions and celery as well, and onto the stock. Beef stock sounds good, given I'm cooking beef. And I forgot the red wine and balsamic, to be fair, so I'm glad chat reminded me. Seasoning looks standard, and think I'll go for all of this besides the bay leaves. Comment if you think I should have got those as well. And if you do know, what's the reasonings behind bay leaves combining well with rosemary and thyme? I've got salt, I've got pep, I've got Worcestershire sauce, and having just double checked the fridge, got about 30 grams of tomato puree left. So my shopping list looks a bit like this. Heading back to the Asian supermarket, I know they have some amazing vegetables, much better than my local Sainsbury's supermarket. Meat is at the back as usual, so I swung by the vegetable aisle first. Picked out a few vegetables such as these carrots and these tomatoes, which were bigger and nicer looking than Sainsbury's for sure, and this Chinese celery. Just look at all of this meat. So I'm back in the kitchen and let's have a look at what I've picked up. First is this big slab of meat which I simply can't wait to tuck into. Weighing in at 668 grams, that should be plenty for 4 or 5 portions. These 3 massive tomatoes that we saw in the shop, onions which I already had in the cupboard, and the celery sticks. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried Chinese celery. It was cheap and looked much healthier than Sainsbury's again, so I went with it. Carrots, 2 potatoes to roast as I'm cooking for my girlfriend, and I picked up this 1 organic broccoli from Sainsbury's for the leftovers I'll have. I absolutely love broccoli. Steaming them tastes great and it's very healthy for you. Followed by these herbs, which I put in a glass and topped up with a bit of water when I got in from the shops. I picked up rosemary and thyme and some McGuigan red wine. This is the cheapest bottle in Sainsbury's at around £5. I visited the McGuigan wine estate in Australia years ago, and I really do like their wine, and for £5, I think that's a bargain. The final ingredient are these OXO beef stock cubes. But if there are better stock brands out there, please let me know in the comments. Now I have the food in the house, I checked in with ChatGPT to update it with the details of my chosen ingredients. I gave the weight of the brisket, as even I know a large brisket would need longer, and this is what Chat suggested. I'll skip the vegetables because you've just seen them, but the liquids. 300ml of beef stock, 100ml of red wine, and 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. The beef has had 10 minutes sat at room temperature, seasoned with salt. And a new technique I've learned is to dab the meat dry for a stronger sear. Getting my nice new Le Creuset on the stove, I gave it some time with some extra virgin olive oil before dropping the beef. And the searing sound coming off of that is incredible. After 5 minutes, I flipped it and seared the other side for a further 5 minutes.
Oh my god, Chris, look at that.
And between filming, the heat started spitting tiny bits of oil around the rest of the stove, reaching the floor, so I pushed it further in. Once both sides were seared, I placed the beef on a plate and set it aside. I then chucked in the onions and let them sweat until soft for 5 to 7 minutes, with a bit of salt and pepper. Then go the tomatoes and let them sit for 4 minutes. And I forgot to film the carrots and celery, but they're now in, and gave it all a mix and a top up of oil. This oil thing I've got drizzles it slowly and just quite nice to have. Topping up the salt and pepper too. Once that's had a further couple of minutes heating up, I put in a good bit of that McGuigan's red wine. Mix again. Then goes the Oxo beef stock, Worcestershire sauce and balsamic vinegar. Mix again. Then some thyme and rosemary. Placing in the beef, and I forgot to add the tomato puree earlier, so chucked it in quickly. And it goes in the oven for 2.5 to 3 hours at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Whatever your length of time is, I do know that at halfway you need to flip the meat. That's what I did and gave it a little stir. Over this time I put the lid on with a gap to release some of that evaporation. Pulling out the roast potatoes, these looked incredibly crispy, go really well with the braise sauce. Then comes the braise. Just look at that. To say the least, I'm chuffed. Taking the forks to it, it peels apart pretty nicely. See how my first ever braise tastes. Sitting down to tuck into this braise for dinner, I've got a glass of red I used for the braise, and of course my first bite has to be the beef over anything else. And oh my gosh, does this have flavour. Then a carrot, which I love to eat raw with hummus, or nicely boiled in tasty juices to go in a meal. The sauce is just incredible, and feel it coats your mouth in some intense flavours. This is definitely the most flavourful meal I've prepared for myself at home ever, and it's so simple and cheap. These ingredients cost me £13, and it made 5 portions.
So a couple of days later I went and got another piece of beef, but they only had beef shin. I'd never cooked beef shin before and was interested in trying it. Plus I wanted to improve the tenderness this time round and improve the sauce a little bit. I put a bit more stock and a bit more wine in this one, but my gosh, look how tender this came out. After nearly doubling the time in the oven from 3 hours to 5 hours, I allowed this cut of meat to fall apart much more. I put it all back in the pot and gave it a good old mix. And I want to make it clear that this is not unhealthy for you. I've updated my recipe with the most recent beef braise with the beef shin. I weigh absolutely everything in grams and liquids in millilitres. One portion of this scores a 75 out of 100 Zoe score. I've worn a blood glucose tracker for 2 weeks and took blood samples after eating the infamous Zoe cookie to help measure my body's blood response to fat and glucose whilst logging the foods I eat in Zoe app. This is what enables Zoe to show me the impact on my blood sugar and blood fat levels. I also sent a stool sample to Zoe for testing my gut microbiota, enabling them to show me the impact of meals on my gut health. So all in all, it's an insanely tasty thing to cook at home. It's cheap and healthy and makes plenty of portions. Plus there's hardly any washing up.